What's going on YouTube? So when it comes to Ford, the first vehicle everyone thinks of course the F-150, but a lot of people don't realize that the Escape is their next best-selling product. The previous generation has been on sale for a while, but now we finally have an all-new Escape with us here today. Of course, we would like to specially thank our friends at Madison County Ford for making this higher-end Escape available to us. And if you're in the market for any new Ford, make sure you stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that stuff said, let's see if the rivals should be worried about Ford's new entry. So starting off this video with the styling, it's clear immediately that Ford has gone a different direction with this new model. My understanding is that Ford intends to bring a new crossover of the same size to market that is more off-road focused. So that means the Escape is now the more urban focused model. What that translates to is a smooth and rounded front with a Fusion-like fascia that sits down low. Every trim does get this design, with the only difference being no chrome surround on the base S. Turning over to the lighting, all but the titanium will come standard with these halogen headlights and LED daytime running lights. But when you choose that top model, you will get LEDs instead. Finally, halogen fog lights are included starting with this SEL. Now as far as all the rest of the styling, the design swoops upwards dramatically from the side. But as you go around to the back, it's substantially more traditional looking. Escape is spelled out across the tailgate, and every model comes with these nice looking partially LED taillights. Along the bottom, even the base S will have the silver accent and dual exhaust pipes. So overall, while this type of design won't be everyone's cup of tea, it's definitely appreciated that Ford has done something truly different in a class of many similar looking offerings. Now turning our attention to the wheels, they are one of Mason and I's favorite elements of this exterior. These are the largest wheels available, coming in at 19 inches, and they're standard on the titanium and optional on the SEL. Normally this SEL will come with 18-inch contrast alloys. And then going down the ladder, you have 17-inch alloys on the SE and 17-inch steel wheels with hubcaps on the S. In regards to the mirrors, they are heated on the SE and up. And Ford is one of the only manufacturers in the class to include blind spot monitoring standard on every single trim. The same also goes for pretty much every other active safety feature as well. The new Copilot 360 suite includes automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, and auto high beam headlights. The only system that they charge extra for is adaptive cruise control, so this definitely brings it in line with all the big Japanese competitors. But anyways, that concludes all the huge exterior updates. So now let's see if the interior has changed as dramatically. So walking up to our all-new Ford Escape here, we do have Ford's Smart Entry System that's going to be standard on the SE and up. However, you will have to go for this SEL or up to get the remote start system. Now, of course, like all Fords, to get inside the actual vehicle itself, all you have to do is just grab the handle and it will unlock automatically. Alright, so taking the first look inside the 2020 all-new Ford Escape, as you can tell, definitely a thoroughly modernized design that is totally different from the outgoing generation. Now as far as your interior material and color combinations, Ford has kept things fairly simple for this type of vehicle. So what you'll be looking at on the S and the SE is going to be cloth seating. And when you go up to this SEL, you'll get the material called Active X. It's basically faux leather, but it's made to be a little bit more durable. And then when you go for the titanium, that's going to get real leather. As far as your colors, it's also very simple. S is ebony only, all the rest are ebony or sandstone. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is nicely finished. You do have leatherette here on the armrest. It also has a pretty unique design here. So you've got these little like diamonds engraved into the soft touch plastic all through here. You do have silver trim. And you will also find 3-person memory seating on the SEL and the titanium. As far as your windows, the driver and passenger are one-touch automatic. And then coming down here to your seat controls, they are 10-way power adjusting on all but the very base S model, which comes with a 6-way manual one. And like I was saying, this is a faux leather, but I have to say I am very impressed by the way it feels. With the perforation and the stitching, it both looks and feels very premium. And like I already said, the design has totally changed for this all new generation, and the same also applies for the upgraded cabin materials. So across your upper dash here, you will have a soft touch plastic. Dropping down here to the middle, you have silver trim on most of the models. However, you do have a faux wood if you go for the titanium. You have more soft touch through here, and these lower areas are hard touch. However, as you can see, everything fits together really well, feels solid, and there's no panel gaps. Now kind of hiding back here is your push button start. This is going to be standard on the SE and up. So as far as the gauges you're looking at right here, this is the standard setup. The vast majority of Escapes are going to come with this setup. It is analog with your 4.2-inch multifunction display. However, new this year, you do have a really quite nice reconfigurable 12.3-inch display that's going to be standard on your titanium. Nevertheless, this does perform all the functions that you pretty much expect, just your traditional multifunction display. There is also a head-up display, the pop-up style head-up display, that's offered as an option on the titanium. Now coming back to your steering wheel, you do have electric power assisted steering, and you'll find a nice leather wrapped steering wheel which is also heated on the SEL and up. On your titanium, you will have rain sensing wipers as well, but the steering wheel will always be manual tilt and telescoping across the board. Now moving on to interior storage, the Escape does pretty much have a class competitive amount, if not a little bit larger actually. So checking out our center console here, this is pretty large as you can see. You do have a little lining down at the bottom, as well as a traditional style USB port. Up in front of that, we've got our 2 cup holders. Then we have another really large storage bin up here. You do have available wireless charging on your upper end trims. And then you will notice we have the newest style USB Type-C as well as a 12-volt outlet. Now some of this space was made available by switching to a new electronic style shifter like what you've seen in the Expedition and the new Explorer. This is very simple to use. You're just going to twist to drive, for drive of course, and then you can press the M here to shift manually. Now only the 2-liter models like what we have here today will have the paddle shifters. And then heading into reverse, of course, all the models are going to come standard with a backup camera. As you can see, we do have active trajectory as well as the ability to zoom, and we do have rear parking sensors. However, there is not a 360-degree camera system offered even on the titanium. And then back behind the shifter, you do have an electronic parking brake as well as a brake hold feature, and those are standard even on your lower end trims. Now coming on up the dashboard here, we do have our climate controls. There are 3 different setups on the Escape. So your S is going to be fully manual. All the middle trims are going to come with this single zone automatic setup, and then you do have a dual zone automatic setup if you go for the titanium. Of course, I don't really need to explain this. It is very simple. All the buttons are located here physically, including for your zones. Now below that you will also find 3-stage heated seats. Those are standard on the SE and up, which is a nice feature to be included on most of the models. And then we do have the heated steering wheel button, which I already mentioned. Alright, so now that brings us up here to our audio systems. The vast majority of models, including this one, are going to come with the standard 6-speaker audio system, so we'll go ahead and take a sample of that. I have to say, I'm very impressed by the way this sounds for a bass sound system. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and move past that. We'll go into our Sync 3 system. Of course, this is the newest version, and we do have this new tablet style screen. So what you're looking at here is the 8-inch display. This is going to be on all but the very base model, which is going to come with a tiny 4.2-inch display. Nevertheless, this does operate the same way as it has in other Ford models. You do have the newest software here with your 5 shortcut buttons along the bottom. Now clicking into the navigation here, this is going to be standard on the titanium only, but it is optional on the SE and the SEL like we have here with us today. As you can see, this does work quite nicely and it is very responsive. The other main feature that I want to point out is, of course, in your applications. This is going to be your Android Auto and your Apple CarPlay. Those are both going to be standard so long as you choose the SE or up so that you have the 8-inch display. It's not available on the smaller display. But otherwise, you're looking at the same features that we come to expect from the Sync 3 system. So what I'll go ahead and do is just refer you over to our dedicated in-depth tech help video. A link to that video is provided in the description. Heading on up from that, we just have a manually dimming mirror. However, you can get an auto dimming one with HomeLink remote if you go for the titanium. Then coming up here to the ceiling, we have what is my favorite feature of this cabin, and that's this gigantic panoramic moonroof. As you can see, this goes back a ton of space here. The front portion does, of course, open up, and we can slide that back even further. It goes past the second row headrest. So this is really a huge feature, and a lot in this class still don't offer this. Now, what you'll be looking at though is that it is an option on the SE, SEL, and the titanium for $1,500. But overall, the Ford Escape's cabin is certainly a very pleasant place to spend time, and really is a big step forward in functionality, materials, and technology from the outgoing model. Alrighty, so that does it for the front areas. Now I'll hand it off to my brother Mason to check out the back.
So checking out the rear door trim of the 2020 Escape, it does have that unique design, same as the front. So you have this pattern all the way through here. However, this is a hard touch plastic where it is a soft touch in the front, so the materials don't quite follow through. However, here on the armrest, it is leather wrapped. And down below that, we do have a bottle holder right here, as well as some door storage. Now, another thing I do want to point out is that these seats do recline, and they now newly slide for 2020. Now, as far as the rear features are concerned, you are going to find a pretty good set of amenities on all of the models. So on all but the very base S model, you are going to find these rear vents, and down below that, we do also have a 12-volt power outlet. Now, in addition to that, I do also want to mention that heated rear seats are standard on the titanium model only. Now off in the center, we do have a fold down armrest. It does have cup holders inside. And on the sides, we do have an assist grip as well as some lighting. Now in addition to that, we do have the panoramic moonroof. I really like this feature. It helps air out the rear seats. And in terms of space, behind rear seating position, I have plenty of it. So I have I would say about 7 to 8 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. The technical measurement for the Escape is 39 inches of rear leg room and 39.3 inches of rear headroom, which does place it on par with most of the rivals. However, it is a little bit less than the Honda CR-V. Now in order to fold the seat down, all you have to do is look at this little lever, and it does fold 60-40 split. Now walking around to the trunk of the Escape, you do have a hands-free power tailgate standard on the SEL and titanium trims, so all you have to do is wave your foot under the bumper to open it. And I do also want to point out that this is one of the best hands-free setups. It works every single time and it works flawlessly, unlike a lot of the rivals. Now, as far as the rear space itself is concerned, we are going to find 38 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats, and that expands to 65 cubic feet with them folded. Now, that is very class competitive behind the second row. However, when you fold the seats and get that maximum 65 cubic feet, that is a little bit less than most of the rivals like the RAV4 and CR-V. Now, as far as how Ford finishes the trunk back here, we do have a nice carpeting along the floor. Underneath the floor, we have a full-size spare tire. And on the side, we have a 12-volt power outlet as well as some LED lighting on this side. Now over here on the passenger seat, it is manually adjusting on this model. However, it is 6-way power on the titanium only. In front of the passenger, we do have a good sized glove box. It opens pretty wide, and it does go back a good distance. However, it is not felt lined or illuminated. Now in addition to that, I do also want to mention that you do have this little net on the side, as well as a good sized sun visor with lighting and a mirror, and it does also detach and extend. But anyway guys, that sums up all the rear areas of this all new Escape. So now let's go ahead and get out on the road and see how it performs there compared to its rivals.
Alright guys, so let's go ahead and dig into the powertrain situation here on the 2020 Escape. They've totally remodeled how they structure the trims. So most of the Ford Escapes now are going to come with a turbocharged 3-cylinder. That being said, it does still have class competitive numbers of 180 horsepower and 177 pound-feet of torque. Now, optional on the SEL and the titanium is the engine that we have in this tester, and that's going to be your 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 250 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. Furthermore, there are 2 additional options. We did not cover them in this review because they'll be available a little bit later, but there's going to be a hybrid powertrain offered and a plug-in hybrid offered later on. As far as your transmission, it's going to be an 8-speed automatic. Power will be sent to the front wheels as standard equipment, or optional all-wheel drive across all your trim levels. And then as far as your fuel economy, you're somewhat limited on the ratings. We just have a couple numbers available right now. The 1.5 liter front wheel drive is going to be rated at 27 city, 33 highway, 30 combined. And then this specific 2 liter all-wheel drive is rated at 23 city, 31 highway, 26 combined. But anyways, that does it for the specs. We'll go ahead and take it out on the road and see how it performs. Wow, so first setting off here in the turbo, 2-liter turbo Ford Escape. Power really impressive. You can tell right when you get off the line there, the torque. You know, that's the big thing with this engine is the torque. It really makes a lot of torque, and you can definitely feel that.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of just like struck me was it like makes no noise doing so. It's like so quiet. It's just like almost like a
these EcoBoost
electric
engines
car.
that Ford
You
makes,
can't hear
they're
anything.
very, very quiet, yeah. Yeah, even under just more modest acceleration, really just, you know, just feels strong, feels real healthy off the line. A lot of the things in this class tend to feel pretty weak, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big thing to consider with this vehicle, is just having this available in itself is a big benefit, because the top 3 products in this class are going to be your RAV4 CR-V and Nissan Rogue, and none of those offer any upgraded engine whatsoever. So having the option to have a more powerful alternative really is a big benefit.
And now that we're up to highway speed, I do want to point out that this car is very comfortable. We've been in pretty much all of the rivals, and I think that it seems pretty competitive with them. It doesn't really seem to ride better than them, but it's about average. And there's not really any wind noise going on in here, so I really like that. And it just seems very smooth in here. It's definitely going to be a car that keeps you and your family perfectly happy on a long road trip, and there's plenty of room for everyone to come along.
And let's talk about the seats too. Very comfortable. They've done a great job with these seats. This isn't the leather, this is the Active X material, but it's really convincing. I quite like it. It seems really authentic if you didn't know better. It's got a smoothness to it, and it looks nice with the perforation, and it's also super comfortable to set on. So I do want to talk about the steering, of course. Really, they've done a great job here. This, of course, is based on the Ford Focus, which we will no longer have in the US market. But you can still tell the European influence of the car, mainly in kind of the control that you have, and in the way that the steering is very responsive. So you can see, you can turn it just a touch off center, you get immediate response. So it's very fast acting system. That's not something that can be said necessarily about all the competition. Some of them go for very numb setups that you just can't really tell where the wheels are placed, but this has an agility that is pretty uncommon for the class. Now this isn't a real sporty vehicle by any means, so you will still notice some body roll, but that's, you know, typical for the class. I guess the only thing I can think of is like the CX-5 Turbo. They both have that same kind of punchiness where it actually feels pretty fast. You can even hear a little turbo whistle, which is kind of fun. So our auto start stop system has engaged here, so we'll see how quickly it starts up. Pretty quick, fairly smooth, definitely in line with what you get from competition in this class.
And you will notice that does engage pretty frequently Fords do that pretty
Yeah,
much.
Fords are a little bit more aggressive
Yeah.
on their auto start stop system than other brands, but you don't really have to worry about it. If it bothers you, there's a button right here, auto start stop off. And the last thing I really want to talk about here is going to be your 8-speed automatic transmission. Shifts very smoothly, does a pretty good job. You know, and having a traditional automatic, this is frankly a class of CVTs, it seems like, mostly. So it's just another thing to keep in mind. A lot of you may see that as a pro to have this traditional 8-speed auto instead of a continuously variable transmission. But overall, it seems like Ford has done a great job with the driving dynamics of this all-new Escape. It definitely, with this 2-liter turbo, has kind of a cool sporty edge that most of the class don't have. Yet, I don't sense any real compromise for the Sport. It's still decidedly more family and luxury oriented. So I think it strikes a good balance to be both very comfortable, and when you need that extra power, it's really there for you immediately.
Now for the pricing for this 2020 Escape, for the base S model, you're going to start at $24,885. The SE is $27,095. The SEL is $29,255. And then you have the top-end titanium trim with the hybrid powertrain as standard for $33,400. And it is worth noting that that is for the front-wheel drive option. If you want all-wheel drive, that's going to be $1,500 additional.
And then there will be another hybrid trim level. It will be a specific hybrid trim level. It's called SE Sport. We didn't mention that because that's exclusively hybrid.
Now this model has opted for all-wheel drive, and we do also have several different options on top of that. So we have the panoramic moonroof, which is $1,495, the 19-inch aluminum wheels for $395, and Ford Copilot 360 Assist for $695. We also opted for the all-wheel drive as well. Now, when you add in the destination charge of $1195 and discount $400 for the 2-liter EcoBoost engine, you are going to come in at $36,420, which is definitely in line with a lot of the higher end models. This car can go around $40,000, so it's right in line with like the RAV4, but you are going to be having a price premium over stuff like the Honda CR-V. Well guys, we've enjoyed watching one of the first in-depth looks at the all-new 2020 Ford Escape SEL. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.